Well, Carol, I'm here with one of the members of the Joint Economic Committee, Representative Kevin Brady, the top Republican, House Republican on the JEC's, a Republican from Texas. Congressman, thank you for the time. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
You had a chance to question the Fed chairman. You heard what he had to say about the economy. He expects some growth later on this year. What did you take away?
You know, he seemed very optimistic. I guess we're in an environment where, flat is the new high, and, lower declines, slower declines is a good thing. And he voiced that. I'm worried, I guess, about business investment, commercial real estate market, still, I think, serious problems ahead of us. And I still wonder if we can really fully recover if we have not addressed these toxic assets that are on the bank's balance sheets. But overall, he seemed very positive.
Yeah, and you did ask him about the toxic assets. You also asked him about an exit strategy, given the growth of the Fed's balance sheet. Were you satisfied with what the Fed chairman told you, how they're going to get essentially reverse all these emergency actions that they've taken over the past few months?
Well, he listed the tools that they can use. I think our worry in Congress is when and will they use them. If the economy gets back on its feet or starts to, there'll be a lot of political pressure, to not do the tough things that would provide an exit strategy. I wanted him to make sure the members of Congress want him to exit in a major way, do it thoughtfully, but to know there is a day we're going to move out of this market.
Did he reaffirm to you that would be the Fed's decision? He's prepared to make that move?
He did to me. I think the independence of the Fed is very important, especially in unprecedented situations like this. I do want to see a lot more transparency. I still think until we get those toxic assets addressed, and we just haven't, we're not going to see the gains we need.
All right, let me ask you about the stress test. He wouldn't spill the beans, if you will, and tell us the results of those stress tests. But what's your own view about whether or not they have been worthwhile, whether at the end of the day this will have been a good experience, not only for the banks, but for the country?
It's too early to know. The tests that they underwent are okay. I think the big question is, can banks recapitalize themselves, and can they do it from private sources? I think right now we're going to go to the sidelines for private capital for an awful lot to finance the new toxic loan partnership to recapitalize the banks. I think we're worried that in the end they'll rely on government sources for their new capital. That doesn't really solve the problem.
Do you think there's any possibility this Congress would be willing to provide more of those sources, more of those monies in the future?
I don't see that. I just, in this environment, I don't see that occurring without. I just don't see it occurring.
And Carol, we'll send it back to you in New York.
All right, got it, Peter. Thanks so much. We're going to continue our conversation with Bob Eisenbeis, Chief Monetary Economist at Cumberland Advisors, and also our Margaret Popper will be talking to Wilbur Ross about distressed assets and how he plans to take advantage of the situation, a well-known investor in that area. Don't miss that interview. That's coming up at 12:45 p.m. right here on Bloomberg Television. As we go to a break, we've got the S&P down about 4.5 points, the Dow a decline of just about 16. Taking a break. We're back in 2.